52 things I learned in 2023. This year, I worked on more than 200 fascinating stories in food safety, food fraud, and sustainable supply chains, and discovered dozens of new learnings. Here are my favourites. 1. Food poisoning can cause you to lose your memory, experience uncontrolled crying, and unstoppable hiccups. Read about the rare naturally occurring food toxin domoic acid in issue 80. There are more than 100 vegetable cutting techniques in Japanese cooking. Food fraud costs the global food industry $31.6 billion every year. And that information is from the European Commission. Number 4, hundreds of readers value this newsletter enough to pay for it and support my work. This year, The Rotten Apple gained 1,002 new free subscribers and doubled the number of paying subscribers. Probiotic supplements are such big business that a company made one for premature infants, containing potentially pathogenic viable bacteria, which had to be recalled after babies suffered serious adverse reactions. BRCGS, Global Standard for Food Safety, is now the world's largest food safety program, implemented by 30,000 sites in 130 countries and accepted by 70% of the top 10 global retailers, 60% of the top 10 quick service restaurants, and 50% of the top 25 manufacturers. And those stats come from SAI Global's August newsletter. One of the people who discovered the bacterium that causes gastric ulcers deliberately infected himself to prove his theory. That's from issue 111. Carbon soil sequestration is not a thing, despite all the hype, except for soils that are recovering from serious degradation or when cropland is converted to pasture land. Humans overwhelmingly imagine that things could be better when asked to imagine how things could be different. And the sources for that one and everything else I'm saying can be found in the email and the post. Vertical farms are as financially unsustainable as many of us suspected they might be, with dozens of high-profile operations failing to thrive or filing for bankruptcy in the past year. 11. Food fraud horizon scanning actually works. Find that in issue 82. When you feel outraged by empty supermarket shelves at the end of the day, you're experiencing a side effect of food waste reduction programs. Supermarket policies to keep shelves full of perishable items like bread contribute to food waste. Some people love a recall. An Australian man drove 8,000 kilometres, that's 5,000 miles, across the continent to buy 300 packs of spinach contaminated with hallucinogenic weeds before it could be completely recalled. South Korea has successfully implemented a zero food waste in landfill system. 1/3 of food professionals are not aware of a way to anonymously report food safety or food fraud concerns in their country. There is no global protein deficiency. That's just a pervasive food myth. My food fraud vulnerability assessment tool was featured at an international food safety conference in a presentation by a speaker from PepsiCo, and thanks to subscriber James for sharing a pic with me. AI-assisted data analysis in agri-food systems could be too good at predicting food safety problems, thereby decreasing its adoption. Businesses that use AI to discover potential risks that they would otherwise have missed could be more easily prosecuted or sued if an outbreak occurs. Number 19. Climate change will make beer taste different. April Fool's Day food launches in 2023 included Heineken protein powder and plastic-flavoured chewing gum. Food professionals are still confused by food fraud versus food defence. After 2 hours of online food defence training delivered by a well-respected organisation, not mine, 60% of participants failed to correctly answer a quiz question about the differences between VASIP and TASIP. That's the differences between food fraud and food defence. Eating cotton candy in the shower is a thing. Mad honey is a deadly form of food poisoning with symptoms including loss of coordination and balance, blurred vision, confusion and disorientation, seizures, respiratory failure and death. A corned beef sandwich was smuggled into space. Net negative carbon emissions are achievable in food systems. Red meat allergies are becoming more common. You can cellar your wine on the seafloor where the temperature is constant and the bottles are gently agitated by currents, but only if you have the appropriate permits. Find that in issue 102. Number 28, seed fraud, in which agricultural seeds are replaced with non-viable or low-quality seeds, is so rampant in Nigeria that the government has implemented a special seed traceability program and set up seed testing laboratories. The godfather of AI at Google was so concerned about the dangers of the technology that he quit. Turmeric traders who added lead chromate to their wares in Bangladesh for food fraud purposes didn't know it was harmful and accidentally poisoned their own children. Number 31. Commentators believe that ChatGPT is getting dumber. Black market Easter eggs are a thing. An entire trailer load of Cadbury cream Easter eggs, total of 200,000 eggs, was stolen in the United Kingdom before Easter, probably intended for unauthorised supply chains. Food packaging suppliers in the USA deliberately create toxic PFAS chemicals, that's forever chemicals, in food and beverage containers using a chemical process called fluorination to make them stronger. Scotland and England have more forested land now than in the past millennium. There's a street food stall in Bangkok that has a Michelin star. Hookworm infestation might be a cure for hay fever. Zombie viruses could be released from thawing permafrost. Find that in issue 113. The Great Molasses Flood, which occurred after a storage tank containing more than 2 million gallons of molasses burst, killed 21 people in Boston in 1919. You can pop popcorn with a hair straightener. The life expectancy of the average American has been falling since 2014, even before COVID hit, and is now 7 years behind other wealthy countries. Find that in issue 109. Diamonds can be made from peanut butter. Fraudsters will use anything to adulterate meat, even mashed up cardboard egg cartons. There are so many particles of microplastics in food that some scientists claim we eat up to 5 grams of microplastics per week in our diets. That's as much as in a credit card. The microorganisms in biofilms communicate with each other using intercellular signaling systems, which allow different species to work together. Food companies are doing listeria recalls for food that will be cooked prior to consumption, even when the pathogen was found only in the manufacturing environment, not the product. The war in Sudan threatened world supplies of a key natural ingredient in confectionery and soft drinks. Artichokes were banned in New York City in 1935 because the Sicilian American mafia controlled the American artichoke market in a monopoly of doubtful legality. All foods are at risk of food fraud, even low-priced commodities like potatoes. A single food safety incident can cost a company $77 million, as chocolate manufacturer Barry Callebaut found out after a salmonella contamination problem. 1/5 of all minced meats and processed meats in England and Wales are affected by species substitution fraud, and you can find that in issue 107. The man who came up with the idea for cultivated meat dreamed it up while incarcerated in a World War II concentration camp. And number 52, the last of the 52 things that I learned in 2023, is that deep fried ice cubes are not a thing, and you shouldn't try making them at home. And that's accompanied by a YouTube clip of somebody putting a basket full of ice cubes into a commercial deep fryer. By the way, if you're not already subscribed to The Rotten Apple, you should do that now. Free is good, but paid is better.